Hello and welcome. Well, another week and another round of the F3 Super Series here at Apex Racing TV. I'm Tim Cox, Sam Fitzpatrick, back alongside me. This man referred to this week on Reddit as the skinny George Russell. Or that skinny guy on the left as well.
Skinny guy on the left as well.
Yeah, take your pick as to which of those you think is more accurate. Great to have you on as board as always. COTA, Circuit of the Americas, circuit of hopes, dreams, commiserations, frustrations. We're going to find out tonight what it's going to be for our drivers, aren't we, Sam? And, well, we've had an eventful season. Zandvoort last time out should have been a bit mundane, a bit boring, nothing really to write home about. It's Zandvoort, you can't really overtake around there. Wrong, because last time out, it was like London the drivers got the memo. You're not really allowed to overtake rounds of, but you can't get much done. Don't worry about it. It'll be boring. In Sim World, team up and pressurising your opponent to ensure that, come out of 18, 19, onto that back start-finish straight, you get the best possible exit, because that run up to turn one, I know we spoke about it being a hotbed for action, it's so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And the track really sort of opens up for an overtake like that. It's uphill as well, so you can be insanely late and still be able to make the corner, because the gravity is doing half the job of the braking itself. So that's going to be a massive chance for the drivers. Also, you need to watch out for that off track on the exit of the penultimate corner. Super easy to do that. It's not IndyCar rules where you just send it out to Arkansas and you get away with it. You do need to stay within the white lines pretty much. And there's a couple of other areas as well. So, I mean, 12 incidents the drivers are limited to for these races before they get a drive-through. We haven't really seen that come to fruition for this entire season. We've seen maybe one or two drivers pick up drive-throughs. I think if we're going to see drive-throughs this season, it's going to be here.
Oh, we're not long to find out. Let's take a look at the calendar. We're reaching the halfway stage of the season here this evening, and, well, still to come is Nürburgring in a week's time. Long Beach, you say about those drive-throughs. Mind you, it's boom or bust with Long Beach, isn't it? Because if you get it wrong, there's no
escape roads. That's the drive-through equivalent, I think, for Long Beach.
Yes, it'd be straight in the wall, and race ending. Interlagos, another wide open sweeping circuit. Seen many great races of the year, and then before we round up the season in Belgium at the epic Zolder, tight technical but fraught with dangers, high curbs and overtaking opportunities. Looking forward to tail end of the season. Some absolute crackers in there. Format for this evening, Sam. As always, 2 heats. Top 7 go through to automatically to the final, I believe, and then the rest into the final, into the B final or consolidation final, and they scrap it all out for top 4 going through, isn't it, to the final?
Yeah, top 4. I hope not to make the same mistake as I make every single week, Tim, where we have the top 4, and it's like, all right, 5 minutes in, yeah, that's over. I mean, these top 4 are 10 seconds to clear up the rest. There's not going to be any changes. I mean, that's it. Every week we get proven wrong. Last week was incredible, where we had the driver who was running in 4th place, unfortunately made
it was Charlie, wasn't it?
Well, I think Charlie then took advantage of it and then was involved in another incident. I think, was it Gravland, I think, may have been involved as well in something. Oh,
they were all involved at one stage or another.
It was absolutely crazy, that last round. And so, watch out for those mistakes in the B final. And so every single week, if you're an amateur driver in particular, if you can get into that A final, then it's big games. No amateurs, though, in the A final last week, which was a first.
For the first time this season.
Might be a bit different tonight if the racing's even more chaotic than what we saw last time.
Well, it'll be interesting to see for definite. And let's take a look at those championship standings, as mentioned, reaching the halfway stage of the season. Well, Tobias Olsen, Sim Race Sweden, Esports. What can we say, Sam? Himself and Arvidsson, they've been in realistically a different league of their own, haven't they? Yeah,
apart from that one round at Okayama, they've always had that extra 2 tenths to the rest of them. We were really hoping that Alcantech would be able to kind of bring the change. And to be fair, Nicholas Rasmussen was brilliant last night. You can see there he scored the 3rd most points of anyone. Actually took second place on the grid but had a poor start. The Sim Racing Sweden drivers were absolutely brilliant off the line last time out, and Rasmussen had to settle third in the A final. I don't believe Nicholas is around this week, so that will be a hit for Alcontech, and it leaves it up to the likes of Schnabel, Sandström and Zwemstra to take up the slack and try to score some big points themselves. But man, Olsen is just so consistent. I mean, I keep saying that one mistake at Monza, only mistake this season. Besides that, he's just been faultless. Arvidsson's driven well, but it just hasn't been the same level so far. No,
it's, well, not quite, but nearly, isn't it? I mean, Conor Wagner's definitely an interesting one for me. If he had no bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all, and I think he'd definitely be right up there taking it to Sim Race Sweden, guys, if he hadn't have had that bad luck. Let's move across into Pro-Am, and, well, Aaron Smith, talking about bad luck and such likes. I mean, I think if he, correct me if I'm wrong, and your thoughts on this, if he hadn't have had all those pit lane penalties and such like, the way we've watched him come from the back of the grid to nearest down at the front or incredibly high up, it's been spectacular this season. And yeah, I mean, for me, heading into the second half of the season, definitely the one to watch. But I mean, Pro-Am's been up for grabs from absolutely everyone. So many different winners in each different round. And well, Grassetto, the Italian, popped up with a win last time out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you kind of say that about Smith with the pit lane starts that he's had and some of the incidents that he's had. I think everyone feels like that in the Pro-Am category. I don't think anyone's had more than a few good races. You can see there by that column just quite far to the right, the standings from last week. I mean, Smith wasn't really there. I mean, he was 5th position, Setter down in 11th position, and you had, the likes of Grassetto and Hay. I'm not even sure who scored the second most amount of points, but they're not even in the top 10 in the championship. So it kind of demonstrates just how open it's so far been in the Pro-Ams. And still, I mean, that is so close in the points. There are 10 drivers who could still win that Pro-Am championship.
Gravland, for me, he is the Conor Wagner of Pro-Am. I mean, we see some great drives of him all season, but just hasn't
crazy days that far down.
Well, it is. It's borderline criminal, but I mean, Philip Russell moved up from the AMs into the Pro-Ams. He's inside the top 10. I mean, cracking drive from the Brit, and definitely interested to see how the second half of his season go. And talking of the AMs, let's take a look at the AM Championship, where, well, it's a little bit more of an organised affair within the AMs, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit more. Charney with the most amount of points last week. However, he has got pit lane starts for this week, and that is, I mean, it's going to be tricky for him to qualify for the final, for the A final anyway. But to get into the to the A final this week is going to be super tricky for him. Michael Griffin currently at the top. I still think he's the strong favourite. The Arroyo brothers there in 3rd and 4th. Edward Pop unfortunately hasn't done a few of the rounds. I think if he had done, I think he'd be right up there. But unfortunately missed last week, and that sort of hurts his chances. Hopefully we'll see him around this week. You only get one drop score, of course, and so you can't miss more than one round. Otherwise, your chances at the championship are very slim.
Now the German is, when he has been there, he's been really pushing the top end, and showing we haven't really quite seen him whole season long. Hopefully we will see him a bit more. But I mean, team standings, I mean, surprise, surprise, guess who is leading it? It's Sim Race Sweden Esports. As we were saying earlier, been faultless all season, uber consistent. They lead the way at 968 points. With, well, surprise, ultimately it's no surprise throughout the whole of this. Alcatech 2nd, Crips in 3rd, and realistically, they have been the 3 strongest all season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Crips, both and Gum says that's so much experience. I think they've done, between the two of them, probably over half the... they've taken, each of them have taken part in most of the F3 races ever held. So, they will be very strong, that team. But yeah, Sim Race Sweden just keep on opening up those points. I mean, they're not far off like a perfect score, honestly. I mean, if you think it's the top 2 drivers from each round who score points for the team, I think the most amount of points you could score at this point is about 1,100. So they're honestly like not that far away from that, because they've constantly got 2 of the top 3 drivers per meeting. And so it's just absolutely incredible consistency from them. They might already be impossible to catch, but yeah, it's just the likes of Schnabel who could maybe mix it around in the Drivers' Championship. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, 4th start last time out for Lennart Schnabel, hoping for a little bit of redemption. I don't know. I don't know with Lennart Schnabel, but bit of a tricky one for him. I mean, a bit of inconsistency, and I think by his own standard, underperformed a little bit, but I was qualifying just about to get underway. We're going to take a quick break now. We'll be back on the other side. We'll see if qualifying and the race.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, everyone. We're trackside, qualifying just about to get underway. He's going to claim pole position this evening with the fastest time here. Now the COTA of the Americas, the virtual fans there ready and waiting. We're already waiting here in the commentary booth. I'm sure you are at home. And well, Sam, Sim Race Sweden. Pole position between one of the pair of them?
Yeah, I mean, so far this season, Olsen seemingly has been able to put in that late time, hasn't he? And be able to go to the top of the standings, I think, at Okayama, even though it wasn't necessarily translated into race pace. He took it by a couple of tenths. And I think last time out as well, he managed to do it by half a tenth. Let's see if he can do the same, or can Arvidsson put a pole position on him. Arvidsson sort of lost some of that momentum from the recent rounds. I mean, he's been consistent, he's been runner-up to Olsen on a couple of occasions, but he would desperately like to stop that little bit of runner form that Olsen has attained and take this pole position. But one of the most tricky poles of the season, Tim, because not only do you have the very long circuit here, so not many attempts, but also you have the off tracks as well that the drivers are going to have to deal with.
Yes, those off tracks are going to be, I think, tricky. Certainly in qualifying, I think we're going to see a few people with times deleted, but it's going to be how they manage them in the, obviously in the final longest race of the three races potentially the drivers will take place in today. Some of them will just be the two. And it's whether they can keep control of those track limits infringements so they don't tip over and incur themselves a drive-through penalty. Well, Arvidsson, that is the time to beat. Puts his name up at the top of the board, a 156.991. A tenth and a half faster than his teammate Olsen. Smith, though, not a bad opening lap from him. Am driver currently third. I mean, okay, I know we've only got 8 laps, maybe like 9 on the board, but I mean, considering the pace out there and just how strong Sim Race Sweden have been all season, I don't think that's not a bad way to open your accounts in terms of qualifying times tonight, Sam.
Yeah, it's a good effort there for Smith. He's been very strong in qualifying. I think he's maybe been the strongest driver in the Pro-Ams when it comes to qualifying so far this season. But I expect the gaps to be a fair bit wider than we've got used to. I think the last couple of qualifying, particularly Okayama, was insanely close for the top 10. Well, I think also a bit of a gap on the rest in the end. But I think second down to 10th, we're separated by a couple of tenths of a second. Not going to be the same thing here because it is too much longer. It's this circuit. There's Palakui Grant, one of the many drivers who has still got a chance at the Pro-Am Championship. And, well, we're expecting about 25 drivers out on circuit tonight. Many drivers have yet to put in a lap time. A few drivers do have pit lane starts, however, which, of course, will be jeopardizing their opportunities. They are Jack Reeve, who I believe... Oh, Jack Reeve is back this week. Missed last week. Is back this week. Jesper Sandstrom starts on the pit lane. So one of the front runners, Julio Palacio and Cambrali Charney, all started on the pit lane and will not take part in qualifying.
I suppose so. I couldn't see Julio Palacio out on track, but yes, that would explain exactly why. Carrying that to qualifying ban. New best last time from Olsen. Arvidsson easily displaces him, and for good measure, Martinson joins them in that top 3 with Simrace Sweden locking up those top 3 positions right now, looking strong at the top. Schnabel bringing up the best of the rest, as it were, but still a couple of tenths off Martinson is the German right now. And talking to Germans, there's Edouard Pop going across the line. Off the pace right now, probably by his own high standards there, 159.3. And, well, interesting to see. Zermstra, he's 5th right now. Quite a few drivers suffering with lap times being deleted. Presley, Spence, Griffin, Hay, all suffering with track limit infringements, meaning their times have been deleted, not the way they would be hoping for. So we're heading into the deeper stages of qualifying now. You've got 2 3/4 minutes left on the clock to get your times in. Nice, Chuck Romero. Well, chucks it up into 9th there. Of course, qualifying, the grid will be split up between the 2 heats. All of the drivers qualifying in odd positions. We'll go to the first heat. All those qualifying in even positions. We'll head across into heat 2 of the evening. Sam, as things stand at the moment, Simrace Sweden, Esports, 1, 2, 3. Surely. Surely this is going to... Well, let alone, I think, the way they're dominating qualifying, I mean, I think one of the 3 of them take pole. It's just quite who it's going to be between the 3 of them. But, I mean, they've, especially with 2 of them, at the moment, Arvidsson and Martinson through into the first heat as Graveland. Good luck from him to go 6th there. Grosseto as well up into 8th overall. He's had a bit of a flyer, some decent time starting to come in. But, yeah, I mean, I imagine first heat, Simrace Sweden, they'll have 2 drivers in it. They'll lock it out. Olsen, on the other hand, he's going to have, as things stand at the moment, Schnabel starting alongside him, and that could prove a little bit tricky. Graveland will be starting for the second row behind him. That's 2 very quick drivers that Olsen will have to contend with.
Yeah, it's a long run down to turn 1, so it won't be the easiest thing necessarily for Olsen to fend them off. Schnabel is going to need to get up there as well, but he's currently just too far off, isn't he, Schnabel? It's not going to happen for him. As it stands at the moment, 8.5 tenths of a second slower than the rest of the Arvidsson, at least. And Schnabel won't be able to complete this lap time as well. Olsen will complete this lap time. He's only got about 0.3 of a lap, according to our system. Where Schnabel has half the lap to go. So that is not going to happen for him, unfortunately. And so that will be as good as the German gets through. Unfortunately, Graveland as well, I think, might be a little bit short. Yeah, Olsen will be the last one across the line. Who else can put in a time? Michael Griffin's about to cross the line, actually. He's top of the amateur drivers in the championship, remember. What is this time going to be from 3.87? Cuts the beam now, he puts himself into 16th place. Well, at least he's not in amongst those drivers who have got, who have not set a time whatsoever, and there are a fair few of them, so that was important just to get a time on the board. Also now around the final corner, he's usually the last one to put in a lap time. Can he go pole position for the third time in a row? No, he cannot. It's not even an improvement, and Tveres also will have to settle for pole in Heat 2. Will Graveland reach the line?
No.
I don't think he did. I'm not sure if it would have been improvement. It's still a good qualifying for him. Graveland ends up in 6th place overall.
He does do that. He's got to be happy with that one. Bit of a return to form. Hopefully here at the 30s of the Americas with your grid for Heat 1. Arvidsson on pole with his teammate Martinson alongside him. Looking at that front row for Sim Race Sweden Esports. Smith, he starts on the front row out qualifying Pro Svenstra with Grant and Roderson both making up the third row of the rear. Then it's Boberg and Russell. Pop, good qualifying from him to put the AM driver, the German, in 9th. Starts alongside Pro Jesper Sandstrom. Hay and Presley make up the last complete row of the grid, with Jose Arroyo making up the 13th car grid, starting from the back row by himself. But I tell you what, Edward Pop, what a brilliant qualifying from him, Sam, to get it up into 9th. I mean, wow, faultless. It couldn't have hoped for a much better one with that. And, you know, prime position, top 7 getting through, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like we've got to have an amateur get through this week, surely. Yeah. I mean, last week was very unusual that we didn't see that. I feel like this week we are going to be able to see at least one of them get through. But Arvidsson versus Martinson on the front row of the grid. I wonder how Smith will drive this one as well. I mean, got a quick driver in Kevin Zwemstra alongside him. Smith beats him in qualifying, fair and square, so he's got to feel like he can beat Zwemstra, but, you know, is it worth letting Kevin go and just settling for that 4th position, top of the pro, and get through to the A final? Or will he fight this one?
Or can they all make it round turn 1? I mean, we've seen over the years, real life and sim world, the chaos that can ensue at turn 1 at the Circuit of the Americas. Is it going to be as big as Texas itself, or are we going to walk away with something a bit more smaller, like...
I don't know. By the way, Tim, just before we go live, what is this positioning on the grid? I mean, it's like a snake down there. Absolutely craziness. Awful job from Circuit of the Americans.
It is shocking, to say the least, but let's get ready to go racing for the first time this evening as we're green and we are away. And who's going to come out on top on the run down to turn 1? As you see, Arroyo just hanging back a little bit there. Sandstrom starting from the pits, but Arvidsson, well, around on the inside, covered off by his teammate at the top 9, all remaining as they qualified, as they gridded up with Presley and Arroyo all moving that one, because Sandstrom starting from the pits as we head through the S's for the first time, and someone just getting a little bit loose, a bit Larry in the background there, coming off the line, and that is Boberg trying to find his way through past Rolandson of Shizou. Has to back him once again, and he is in 7th, the crucialest of all the places, because top 7 automatically through to the final with 8th downwards. Having to do it the hard way, they will have to go through into the B final, the consolation final. The top 4 only will get through from that race. Oh, as in the background of Royal and Sandstrom, and a right old Royal ding dong there. It might be over the last place on the grid, but in the field. But I tell you what, they're not giving up on one another as people locking up left, right and centre. That's Presley, I think, in the background there, making progress. And everyone, I mean, I'm surprised we've got away as cleanly as we have, but that is, yeah, Presley past Pop. So that's at 3 places now for the American.
We're talking about, it's a long run up to turn 1. It's a really wide turn 1, super easy to overtake. There were no overtakes for the first half of the lap there, but there have been now a couple. Presley with those couple of overtakes on Pop and Hay, and then Sandstrom as well, of course, making that move on Arroyo, albeit that is a little bit slow now for Presley. What was all that about? Just really slow around that portion of the circuit. Wasn't sure if it was like a slowdown maybe for Cadence, but back up and running now, but very slow again. This is very messy. Cadence was absolutely flying along. Now he's going to lose a couple of places because here comes Sandstrom. Got to go to the inside, surely. No, he's going to go to the outside. There was plenty of space on the inside, but he's made this quite tricky for himself. He's got to really have a lot of confidence in the other drivers, and he just avoids any contact there. Does Sandstrom. Well, he gets one of them done at least, and now he's got Alistair Hay for a top 10 position.
Because the commentator there for Presley made it, you know, a cracking start, and then there's many corners. There's Dammit has lost 3 places. But down to the back of Pro-Am and 12th overall right now. There's a few drivers utilising the slipstream and picking up some time. Some strong sectors being set by some of the guys in the rear of the field. So you see Zemstra here having to try to defend from Grant. The Pro-Am's really taking it to them. Talking to Pro-Am, Smith leads them in 2:42 and is pulling away from Zemstra. And in equal terms as well, Sam, is pretty much keeping... Oh, so there's banging wheels, isn't there?
Oh, that wasn't wheels, that was wings. And that was damage for now Palakui Grant. I just hope it's not too much damage. Zemstra with a... Well, I won't call it straight away. That looked like a block after the driver behind him made a move. And there goes another overtake that was for Boberg up the inside of Rollinson. They're both currently through into the top 7. But Boberg wants more. And he very nearly managed to do that sneak attack into the tight left-hander in that third sector, as we have seen so many times in real life and in the sim racing world.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I tell you what, there's no love lost whatsoever between a couple of our drivers. There's starting to spread out a little bit here. Albertson leads from Martinson. Smith third. Leading Pro-Am. Zemstra, Grant is Boberg losing out on a bit of a bang of wheels with Rollinson there for good measure. Boberg then retakes the place, or does he? Because Rollinson right alongside. He's not going to give an inch after they've already had contacts side by side in the entrance to the S's here. They shoot left, right again. And Rollinson right onto the back of Boberg, the Swede. He will not get away so easily because Rollinson has the bit between his teeth. Fighting to keep on, fighting to find a way past it. Surely Sam just needs to wait for the back straight, get things lined up, then launch it up the inside into the braking zone. And Rollinson will reclaim the place from Boberg, or will he? Because look who's caught right up onto the back of them. These two look like they were clean through, but Russell now is right onto the back of them and within a shot of trying to get past them and get himself inside the top 7.
Yeah, and Russell's very good at getting himself into the top 7. He's one of the most consistent drivers out on circuit, and so he doesn't seem to have the pace necessarily tonight. But yeah, with these two battling, it is going to be a disadvantage to them as they continue to put each other offline every single time. And I think the contact made earlier on was actually Rollinson going into the back of Grant, so potentially a little bit of damage picked up on that front wing, albeit his straight line speed is very strong. As we see the onboard of this defensive manoeuvre, yeah, I think that was a little bit late there from Armstrong's.
Yes, I think there's less than thinking, more of the yes there, as we see this is battle in the midfield. Raining on Boberg, still ahead of Rollinson. Zemstra starting to close up, though. He is the danger man in all of this conundrum. Currently in 9th, needs 2 more places. Scrap that, because that's up the inside of Russell. Russell just allowing the Swede by incredibly easily in the grand scheme of things. Next up the road is Rollinson, currently lying in 7th. 8 tenths is the gap that Sandstrom needs to make up. And I tell you what, from that moment onwards, Boberg and Rollinson could start to regret the amount that they've been scrapping one another that's allowed Sandstrom to stay right on their tail.
Yeah, and obviously, because Sandstrom very much putting himself into play. Out in the lead, by the way, 1.8 seconds between the top 2, so not too much happening on that front. Top 4, in fact, all very spread out. I thought Zemstra would be close to Smith, honestly, but it hasn't been the case, as Pop has got past Presley, and Presley has got past Pop. He is wide, and that will be a 1x, and he won't be happy about it. Well, the German driver has got into what was the last amateur drive to get into an A final. No one did it at Zandvoort, and then he was the only one to do it at Okayama, as Palakui Grant is under pressure from Boberg. Boberg seems to be a lot faster. He leaves a little bit of space. There's contact between the two of them, and back comes Grant again. This is a wide circuit, guys. Why are you crashing into one another down the straight? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Boberg again doing it. This is the midday try to pull off on Rollinson a few laps ago. He's certainly done it on Grant this time. He's up into P5, Boberg, having one of his strongest races of the season. And Grant is very much at threat here of dropping out the top 7.
But Sam, look who's right on the back of this 4-car train and tries to make it 2 wide, 3 wide, 2 into 1. goes Sandstrom. And I tell you what, he's had Grant as well, as that is Grant all into the pit lane there. That is
wing damage.
It is, isn't it? That's not good. It's going to put A into it. And I tell you what, Sandstrom, after starting from the pit lane, now up into 6th. What a drive from the Alcantech driver. The Swede is on fire here, and well, Sweden known for being a cold country, but he has been as cool and calm and collected as you like, cut through the field. And also now, I tell you what, Rowlandson has lost a place to Russell too as well. So now Russell is currently occupying those last of the automatic promotion spots. It's really flipped on its head, this battle over essentially 5th, Sam.
Yeah, or a dramatic change that all was. Seemingly how to take evasive action, I think, was Rawlinson and Grant as well. And that's caused some of the mess. Look at the damage as well on Rawlinson's car. So Rawlinson definitely went into the back of Grant earlier on. But Grant also had front wing damage. So I'm not sure why Grant came into the pits, whether it was rear damage, which would seem odd, because you don't really get damage on the rear unless it's absolutely significant. As we've got 2x2, Sandstrom past Boberg. That is no surprise. He'll be able to pull away. And Russell still having to go defensive against Rowlandson. Could Priestley get in? I don't think Cadence got through last week. I may have to check that one. But the American is fairly close at the moment. As Russell again just covering off every angle. Could Edward Pop get back into this? Pop was close to Presley earlier on, remember. Hasn't really had the pace ever since, but he's catching up to these guys at the moment.
So I don't know where the time's quite gone, because we are 9 minutes 45 seconds into this race. But as Arvidsson comes across the line, white flags in the air, that means 1 lap left to go. One last set of opportunities. And I tell you, oh yes, that is Presley in.
Oh, so maybe
Rowlandson.
these.
It's got to be, isn't it? That's Rowlandson.
Grant was stationary for 2.3 seconds. But maybe Rowlandson might have a drive-through. I mean, but yeah, it wasn't the case. It was damage for Grant.
Yeah, that'd be a fast repair. And it looks like we'll keep an eye on Rowlandson, see what happens to him, because that's going to be a good indicator. That's a drive-through, Sam.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, we said it right from the start. It's going to be a thing tonight. 12 incidents the drivers are limited to.
Doesn't take many either, you know. You have 1 tap, that's 4 incident points racked up instantly before you've even got going. Run wide a couple of times. That's it. You're at 6. You're halfway there. And this is only after 10 minutes. We've got 2 longer races coming up. This could prove to be a little bit tricky for some of our drivers to keep their house in order. I tell you, a great drive by Aaron Smith. You see him on the screen right now. That is Venstra behind him. 3rd overall in Heat 1. And leading Pro-Am. And Venstra really hasn't looked like he's been able to take the fight to him too much. There's not long left at all, and the field's just starting to spread out a little bit, and a few drivers, I'm sure, looking a bit and feeling a bit comfortable.
Yeah, it's getting to that late part in the race. The tyres may be degrading slightly, and not easy for Smith here, but he's just going to have enough. It looks like first sector, by the way, of anyone, just for Sandstrom on this lap. Completely out of nowhere. Well done to Jesper. Should have good pace for the A final. But this man, he won last time out, to be fair, in his heat, and he's going to do it again.
I tell you what, he's absolutely thrown a faultless race as Isaac Arvidsson takes the checkered flag. Martin's his teammate, comes home 2nd. Smith, great result for the HPDS Academy driver, 3rd overall. Won it in Pro-Am. Zenstra, Sandstrom, Boberg, Russell comes across the line 7th. Grabs that last automatic place. He's into the final. Well done, Philip Russell, after maybe really not looking like it was going to happen. Presley, Pop, Hay, Rowlandson, Araya and Grant all miss out. They will be appearing in the B final, the consolation final, where they'll have the opportunity to try and grab one of the last 4 places available in the final, with everyone who does not make it through from Heat 2. That's Grant across the line. I'm sure he's just going to park it. He's had enough. He heads to the pits, but So we move across into Heat 2 now. Let's take a little look at your grid. Olsen on pole with Schnabel joining him on the front row. This is where it gets interesting. Gravland starts third. Watch out for him. Grassetto has looked quick this round as well. Those two Pro-Am starting from the second row. There's Chuck Mauro. He's got Glamset for company on the third row. With Garrett Spence and Michael Griffin, the top two in Am. They start from the fourth row of the grid. Then it's Brewer and Reeve and Julio Palacio, making it a row of 4 Americans on the right-hand side of the grid. Starts in length with Charney for company. And Palacio, of course, he's got a pit lane start, hasn't he, Sam? So, it's going to be a tough afternoon for him. 12 drivers. Here comes the lights. Let's get ready to go racing. And we are green. We are away here at second of Macros for the second time. And I tell you what, just losing a bit of ground there. I think that was Mauro, wasn't it? As he falls through the order. Griffin not getting the best of starts either. As heading out of the pits was Charney and Palacio. I had a feeling it was all going to come to a bit of a head there, Sam, and it was all going to end in tears. But everyone just making it through nice and casually.
Yeah, Schnabel was desperate to get the inside of Olsen, but Olsen defended it all the way, and in the end, Schnabel just had to settle for the outside. And at that point, it was not going to happen to him. Olsen's got complete control of the corner from the inside, and I think you could tell Schnabel knew that that was his one opportunity to get the move done. But he's staying in touch. It's 0.3 of a second. And he'll try to get the draft around this next part of the circuit. Olsen knows that, and he's making extra corners down some of these straights. Pulls out for Mario, because, oh, there goes Schnabel up the inside. He's really going for it in these early stages, and he's closer than ever. Grassetto as well will get a draft on the pair of these drivers, and we'll have a great chance down into turn 11. Mario also getting close to Spence to head, but here comes Olsen. He's taking the MotoGP line here. He's almost off the circuit. He has to squeeze there. Schnabel's going to take him right to the inside. Grassetto going to try to take advantage of this any which way he can. Schnabel knows he can't go around the outside there. You know he will just get shoved off the circuit by the Sim Race Sweden driver, and it is still Olsen leading the way on this opening lap, but with fantastic pressure being put on by Schnabel, who may have to look in his mirrors now at Fabio Grassetto.
What an opening lap here in Heat 2. And we are not even done and dusted for it. 3 whites already. I get the feeling this is a little taste of what is to come here tonight in the Apex Racing League F3 VRS Super Series on Apex Racing TV. So there are they once again. It's all darting into the pit lane there. That was Glamsetter. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam.
Mario into the pits. And I guess that was a jump start. Well, maybe we saw him have an awful start. But I guess he kind of went and then hesitated and then got back going again.
It's the only logical explanation for it, really, because well, it's going to hurt him massively. I think that's his chance of making it through automatically. And he's going to check out a replay right now of a spin of
Ooh, on the brakes, locked the rears, and it's fortunate not to hit any other drivers. He's now in 9th position, is Brewer. He's ahead of Charney and Mauro. Palacio is running, but apparently he's only just started. Apparently he's on his first lap of the race still, but I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. Meanwhile, that's in lead. Olsen 0.8 of a second clear. Schnabel has pulled away. This is what we sort of expected. It's what Schnabel knew. He knew they had to take the lead of the race. It hasn't happened, and now he's got a very fast Sicagno Motorsports driver sitting on his tail.
I'll tell you what, Grassetto really starting to come alive in the second half of the season. Ooh, that's a big old blink there from Schnabel. That'll unsettle Grassetto. Italian looking to here to hold on to this third place, continue on the form of the Pro-Am category. It's going to take a little look now at the jump start for Chuck Mauro. Is it a big one, Sam? Is it a big one? Oh, yes, that is.
Oh, I thought it was a bad start. Oh, so, okay.
Yeah,
so he did jump it.
That's why it looks very good.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to slow down. iRacing does not care, however, Chuck. That's a jump start, and you're going to be going through the pits. So that's unfortunate for him, and it's... Well, actually, he hasn't lost. How did he lose that little time? That's not a jump start, is it? If he was only stationed for 2 seconds, unless there's like a new iRacing update. which could have come out 2 years ago, frankly, and I may not have noticed. But I thought jump starts were way harsher than that. I thought it was like 40-second stop go if you jump start.
Well, yeah, it's been definitely, well, we saw the jump start there, so down to the way it's registering winning our software here, but they're at half race distance. Olsen leads from Schnabel, Grassetto third, Graveland fourth. Glamsetter, Spence, Griffin, the last of the drivers to get through, and that is actually 2 AM drivers, as things stand at the moment, making their way through straight to the final. Reeve, 8th, then it's Palacio, Brewer, Charney and Mauro, as that is Graveland just dispensing of Spence. Or else he quite as Graveland just holding on right around the outside there. But
Graveland, I think. Is Graveland trying to get past Glamsetter?
Sorry, yeah, apologies. That is Glamsetter and Graveland. Apologies about that, Sam. You're absolutely spot on there.
So yeah, that was Glamsetter getting past Graveland just a moment ago. Was 6 tenths faster in sector 2 of the 4 sectors you have, I guess. Motorbike. So, oh, that's locking the brakes. He'll do well to get that one stopped. However, Graveland had to lift out of the Thotso himself because he was compromised on the exit. Again, Motorbike started stopping it on the apex there, and the opposing driver being able to do absolutely nothing about it. Graveland still alongside. He'll have the better line here, but will be so slow through the exit. Too eager on the Thotso though for Glamsetter. And after all of that, Graveland does not lose the position. So after making the original mistake, Glamsetter unable to make the move through, but Spence has gained over a second in all this.
It's only just though, isn't it? It's literally like the absolute tips of his fingers right now. Does Graveland hold on to that 4th place? And he's also losing time to Grassetto ahead of him. That gap now up to about 4.2 seconds as Graveland, defensive to the inside, trying to fend off the advances of Glamsetter. He's going to try and go right around the outside, look for the switchback. Don't think he's going to get it done. Graveland.
Griffin spun in the background.
Ooh, that's Griffin. Oh no, we were looking like we're going to have 2 AM drivers through to the final out of this heat. And the mistake there is Glamsetter back past Graveland just off camera. And that is gutting for Michael Griffin. He's going to need a lot of luck to come his way. Let's take a little look at how it all unfolded for Griffin. Wow, I don't think it's too much speed, not enough adhesion. Randy's going to go, and yes, he does.
And then he could have got back going. Yeah, he didn't lose too much time. I thought he went much wider than that off the circuit, but he did not. 9th place though for Griffin. Can he catch up to Palacio? No. No, he can't.
I think that's
about a second lap faster than him, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, that'll be where he stays for the rest of the race, honestly. Jack Grieve now top 7 then. Grieve, of course, he was brilliant back at Monza. I mean, that feels like an absolute HK. But he was so good back at Monza, top of the Pro-Am drivers. Unfortunately missed last time at Zandvoort, and it sort of hurts his championship standings, but he's still very much in the hunt for the title. And he's under the radar there, up in 7th position, had a pit lane start to serve as well. So that's why he was a little bit sluggish to get started. And he is catching up to Spence at the moment, half a second faster on that last lap. And he was 2 seconds faster than Graveland. But of course that was due to the Glamsetter-Graveland battle. It seems like Glamsetter's put a bit of distance now between himself and the Norwegian, Danish driver. So.
Well, we are 8 minutes on the clock. And Olsen looking dominant at the top, 1.2 seconds clear of Schnabel right now. Wow, how dominant have Sim Race Sweden looked so far this evening. It's got to be worrying for their competitors, especially when you're going to have the 3 of them together as things stand in the final. All Olsen needs to do is close this one out. 8.5 minutes on the clock. After this lap, there'll be 1 more left to go here at the Circuit of the Americas. Who's made it through, but I'll tell you what a drive from Reeve. As Sam mentioned, started from the pits. And as things stand at this moment in time, looks like he's going to be heading through straight to the final. He's in that last spot, but Julio Palacio is not far behind, and he's starting to knock on the door. 1.1 seconds is the gap. Last time around, well, Palacio was 3 attempts quicker than Reeve, and Reeve will have spotted that. He needs to respond right now. He needs to find a way to try and hoover up some time. He's getting held up a little bit behind Spence. That gap pretty much neutralising at about 6/10 of a second. He needs to find a way past to give himself a buffer between himself and Julio Palacio if he wants to make this final, and that's where the tricky part comes in, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, if he keeps up this pace, he should be alright. Problem is, he's going to get held up by Garrett Spence in just a few moments, and he's not going to be able to keep up the pace. Palacio just set the fastest third sector of anyone. Where that is, I'm not sure. I think it's the back straight, basically. It's a short sector, only 23 seconds. The final sector is 45 seconds, 46 seconds even, for the majority of the drivers, and that, I think, is the entire twisty bit at the end of the lap, which accounts for a fair bit more in the end. But pretty good straight line speed then for Palacio if he's quick down the straights, and that will make overtaking possible for him. And they are all closing in on Graveland right now. Oh, Reeve's round. Reeve is round, and that's done. That is done for Jack Reeve. Another mistake. We saw Griffin make a mistake. He was very close to him as well. And well, that's a shame, because I think that was going to be an epic final lap between himself and Palacio.
I tell you, Julio Palacio has been handing an absolute lifeline here, Sam. Because, as things stand, nobody wants 7th. Will can Palacio hold on to it? Let's take a little look at the replay. Exactly how it unfolded. Up on the run, down. Well, I say down. It's actually uphill towards turn 1 for Reeve, and it just snaps on him a little bit.
Oh, he was very quick going into the corner, but he seemed very confident about it. It wasn't as though he was changing his line. It was as though, I know it just looked like a pro line, if anything, but it seemed like audaciously quick. Considering it was the last lap of the race, and what was at stake. That's a shame for Reeve. And he will be at least 2nd place on the grid for the B final. I think he'll be the favourite to get into the A final from that B final, because he's showed good pace in this race. And I'm sure Garrett Spence will be delighted at that, because I think had he not spun Reeve, then I think he would have been at threat of losing 2 places there, Spence, and jumping down to 9th place. But looks like he is going to survive this one. Palacio in 7th, but Alson lead. Tobias Olsen is going to be another race win for him, the man in red hot form, and it is another race win for him. That is 3 on the bounce now after a fantastic Zandvoort meeting. He's done it again as the Swede, and he maintains that championship lead after his main championship rival also won his heat. And Spence, first AM to get through for a fortnight, 3 weeks even. Palacio in 7th position, just about qualifies through and leaves Reeve and Griffin and Charney all to fend it out. And well, quick shout out, by the way, to Christian Glamsetter, because Glamsetter had an absolute mare last time out. He was the one who just missed out on getting into the A final, both in his heat and his B final, but he's been able to do the business right there, and yeah, qualifies for the A final straight away.
Oh, here is your B final grid. Presley starts on par with Reeve alongside. Then it is Pop and Griffin and all AM row, with Hay and Charney on the 3rd row of the grid. Rowlandson and Chuck Mara, they make up the 4th row, with Arroyo and Brewer on the 5th and 5th row. And running top 10, there's Poliku Grant. Starts from 11th. Well, I've got a little bit of a feeling here. It's almost just a little bit like Britain versus America, with the exception of Charney. But here come the lights. Let's get ready for a racing. For the 3rd time this evening here from the Circuit of the Americas, as we are green and we are go. There's a bit of a lock up in the rear there, and someone not getting away, and I think that was Charney, just couldn't hug it up. As here comes to the inside, that's Edward Pop making progress, and what a start for the German. Already upper places, there's a spinner in the rear. That's Chuck Mara and Rowlandson course up and tangled together. And that is already looking like that is their night over. Their night done and dusted. As much as they've got 13.5 minutes to make this up, this is a tall order, because it's the top 4 that make it through from the B final that we're currently in. And hey, can't find a way past Reeve. However, it is Pop who's had a brilliant start, but not as good as Cadence Presley, who is 1.4, made that 1.5 seconds through, as that is Reeve on Pop in the foreground. Reeve ahead, back ahead of the German. back up into second, and Pop now having to defend because right round the outside are making them work as they scatter across the track. It's 3 wide, and we can even have 4 wide here. Pop in a bit of trouble right now. So it's Alistair Hay, isn't it? He's, well, take your pick. Because Reeve leads this group of 3 behind and was swarming left, swarming right, swarming to the centre to find a way through, and they all gang up on Reeve and nearly take him out, and a pincer movement there, and Edward Pop banks wheels with Hay on the exit of the corner as they nearly came together, came to blows, then Pop just having to slam the shore shut into Brewer because Brewer was about to take another place to Pop after what was an excellent start for the German. But not as good as Palaku Grant, who has stormed from the back. He's up 8 places, Sam, and we haven't even completed a lap.
That was a proper COTA start right there. That's what we want to see out on circuit. And Presley, after all, that 2.7 seconds ahead, Reeve in a strong second place. I mean, that would be a delight for him that he's been able to make that progress, although still he cannot get away from Palakui Grant. We know that Grant's a very quick driver. 8 places gained so far for the American from the start. And everyone in play, bar Mara, even Rollinson could still come back as there goes Grant up the inside of Reeve, but he backs out of it. He was very cautious there, maybe thinking about the long game. Griffin just getting ahead of Brewer as well in the background. Top 4 getting through. Pop now outside of that top 4, but wow, I'm not going to say this is it because there's guaranteed to be a lot more stuff happening before the checker flag.
You're not wrong there, Sam. You feel it brewing in the air. As everyone making their way through, it's just settled down once again after the craziness that was that opening lap of craziness that lasts the whole lifetime. Presley leads to Reeve, Grant third, Hay fourth, and that last automatic qualification place to the final. Pop will feel aggrieved, angered. He'll want a place back. He feels like he deserves it in there. He's had a strong outing so far here today. The second in the Americas. Griffin, another one, will feel aggrieved. 6th, he should have been straight into the final if it hadn't been that spin in his heat. Charney 7th, Brewer 8th, Rowe 9th, and then it's Rollinson and Marrow, of which Marrow, looking like he's pulled the car over, he's retired it, but Rollinson, he has got up and running once again. Let's take a look at Palaku Grant's start, at how he came to make up 8 places, Sam. With an excellent drive and really, really good standing that he got himself on.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what happened to kind of Mario and Rollinson off the start, but I mean, that's just a nice launch for him. It was mainly ahead of him getting a poor launch than anything else, I think. And then, yeah, putting this car in the middle of the circuits. And then there was the Rollinson-Mario instance. I think that was Mario on the inside, and then Rollinson just being tagged by him ahead. And at this point, he's already, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's already gained 5 places at this point. And then, yeah, it's just later on in the lap that he gets a couple more. As that is Reeve having to still go defensive against Grant. These top 4 will get through at the moment. Pop is not as fast as these drivers, but Griffin might be. So they do still need to be cautious about what's going on behind. But Grant now ahead. Up into that P2. He looks faster, does the American. And we wait to see if he can pull away. I think Presley might be slower than all these 3, honestly. Presley's not pulling away despite this frantic batting. In fact, Grant was the fastest. Well, actually, Hay was the fastest out of these drivers on that last tour of the circuit. So it's good that Presley got that good start because I think Cadence will need it come the end of the race because, yeah, I don't think he is faster than the few drivers behind him.
You're not wrong there, Sam. It's all about building up that buffer, ensuring that you've got enough of a gap to try and just keep hold of it and make yourself into prime position so that when you come through, you are done, dusted and sorted and have the best chance. There's a little bit of room to play with. Nearly 2 seconds of the advantage. Also, more crucially, a 4.8 second advantage over Pop, who is in 5th. And currently the first of the drivers, the best of the rest, who won't make it through into the final. 5.5 minutes completed, just over 1/3 race distance. Not too far away from half race distance. It comes thick and fast and frantic and furious. The action here in this heat racing format. Sam, can anyone do it? can anyone else displace this top 4 to get themselves in? I mean, Valkyrie Grant, the momentum's with him. He's looking good. Presley, well, Cadence has headed off into the distance. Another new fastest lap of the heat so far from Grant. I mean, Pop, maybe? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm surprised Griffin hasn't done a bit more so far. I really
Yes.
thought that Griffin would be past Pop fairly quick, but it hasn't happened in that way so far. Griffin sort of gets in close, and I think he will eventually get past Pop, but I don't think he's got the pace to keep up with Hay and Co. What's happened to Reeve? I think Reeve's just made a mistake. Oh, well, Hayes had to take evasive action as well, it looks like. Here we go. That's a bit closer now. We knew it wasn't going to be simple. And Reeve down to 4th position behind Alistair Hay, who has looked good so far tonight and was faster than Reeve on that last lap. Reeve, who looked so strong in that heat, and of course was due to qualify for a long time. Now they're both wide through turn 11. You can see the top 2 just sprinting away. I mean, Grant was right with these guys just a moment ago. He's now 2.3 seconds up the road, and now they're going to start battling as well. Is it necessarily worth it? Pop and Griffin being given the lifeline. It certainly seems like Charney and Brewer are out of it. Rolinson not with the pace to bring himself back into play as Reeve back past Hay. Hay has to settle for 4th position. But Pop now 1.1 seconds behind these drivers, 9/10 of a second behind these drivers even. But yeah, I am surprised that Rolinson actually hasn't brought himself into play. He is faster than these drivers, but not nearly fast enough to catch up by the end of the race. As we get to see Jack Reeves' incident earlier on, it was at the start of the SS. Did he hit the curbs? Yes, he did.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's one of the others. You don't hit the curves, we take way too much of them. Except for that one there. Way too much curb.
I think Prezzi is about to be caught here. Look at that, 1 second faster for Grant.
He's not hanging around, is he, Paliku Grant? Making light work of Presley, who had, what, a 2-second advantage pretty much out at the front. Now diminished down to absolutely nothing right now. The bare bones, the bare minimum. Let's see. That's, I mean, Sam, I mean, I know it's B final. We're going to have drivers maybe take a few more risks than what they would have done previously, but even so, I mean, I just can't see anyone else making it through. Nobody's close enough where they need to be, and I thought, you know, a few rounds ago, maybe they learnt to, you know, work together a little bit more, but we're still seeing a fair bit of infighting and early on in the race, and for positions that are well away from those automatic qualification places, as that is for the lead there. Can Grant, well, if I take my hat off to you, sir, if you get this one done. You're already up 9 places, and there we go. You are ahead into first. That is 10 now, but I tell you what, Houston making his life not easy whatsoever. Trying to find a way through, trying to find a way past. It's not going to happen. It's not going to come for now.
Yeah, that should be sorted now for Grant, really. I mean, he's been a second a lap faster, like I was saying before, and so you would think he can pull away from here on in, up 10 places from last to first. Palagui, Grant, and yeah, Presley will just have to wait, still got 2.4 seconds to Reeve, so that gap isn't really coming down. Reeve actually, I think, a bit more confident. I think as this race has gone on, Reeve's got better and better. He's just done his best lap of the race, I think. It's very tricky to tell because on our system, the lap times don't come up as a personal best if they pick up a 1x. Which is like a fair system, because if you cut the circuit, it shouldn't come up as personal best. But they're getting so many 1x's, and you can get away with getting so many 1x's that it's not too bad. That system, by the way, that we use, SDK Gaming, which is the provider of our overlay and our live timing as well, which you can get a link to. Oh, that's off the circuit for Pop. Pop is off the track. That was well offline, and the German, any chances of the top 4 have surely been dashed now, because even if someone does spin up ahead, it would be Griffin who would take advantage of it from here. But like I said, SDK Gaming throwing our overlay, our live timing, and also a fantastic head-up display whilst you're driving. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk for more details. But that is gutting for Pop, and our A final Joe from Okayama, he is not looking strong right now. 3 minutes to go.
And 14-day free trial with SDK Gaming, Sam. Don't forget the 14-day free trial.
Don't forget that.
Well worth checking that out. Just trying to check out right now our top 4. As they're pulling away, Grant carrying all the momentum he possibly can into the final. It's made a light work of this field. Up 10 places, leading the way. And that's a real battle on track. It's a third between Reeve and Hay. Now, Sam, these two, we've got 2 minutes and 10 left on the clock here. It doesn't matter too much. They're going to be starting from the same row of the grid, which is the final row in the grand final, coming up next here on Apex Racing TV. But we've seen it already this season. Not the sensible thing we've done. Just work together. Don't bother overtaking one another. Just stay as you are.
Oh, he spun it. He spun it. And that's going to be it. Griffin's going to be able to get past Michael Griffin up into the top 4. And Hayes furious. He is furious. He's towed back to the pits. And I was going to ask you there, Tim, out of the top 4, who do you think is going to make a mistake? And I didn't even get an opportunity to. I wasn't falling for it, Tim. You were falling from right at the start. You're saying, oh, there's not going to be any changes here. This top 4 is set. Never. The top 4 is never set. Pop nearly loses it now as well. We are getting to the closing stage of this race, and mistakes are of plenty. And we've got a replay of Hayes' incident, and it's another turn 1 incident. Is it just going to be the same thing as we've seen all before, where Joe's sending with a lot of pace? Yeah, is it? Oh no, it's a little bit later actually. So he's actually got into the corner by that point, and then yeah, he's had enough.
I don't blame him, Sam. I was about to say, my rambling was getting on to the point of, we've seen it before this season where they haven't worked together, haven't done the logical thing, and then started racing, and it's ended in tears for one, if not both of them. Wasn't expecting an unenforced error, and Alistair Hay, well, the Scots, he'll be having a wee drum tonight, definitely. A little drink to, wow, there's commiserations for that one. It was looking like a comfortable way through to the final. Now, he's out. He's retired the car out of pure frustration. And it's allowed. Well, we're going to have here, Sam, another AM into the final. Or are we? Because we've got 2 minutes remaining on the clock. No, we haven't. Apologies. I've lost track of time completely there. On to the final lap. White flag is in the air. It's being flown.
I'm going to go for a big call here. Watch out for Dan Rollinson on this final lap. Because he's going to need something to happen from the top 4. But right now, Pop really struggling at that. I think Pop's overheated the tyres and it's just having a nightmare every time he goes through the first half of this lap. Johnny is fairly consistent out there, catching, and then Rollinson is much faster than the pair of them, and they're all going to congregate, hopefully, at the apex of turn 11 on this lap. Pop a little bit better, though, this time round. He seemingly is keeping the car within the white lines, at least, trying with a slight mistake, and there is Rollinson trying to catch up. Remember, Rollinson spun on the opening lap of the race. That must have lost him 8 seconds, something like that, and I think he would probably be up fighting for second position if it weren't for that. Here we go, so at least he can get Charney, and this is for an extra point in the championship. And Rollinson, like so many others, is in the championship contention for the Pro-Am, so he desperately needs to get this one if he possibly can. Charney taking the sensible line there, but he's way too cautious on the brakes, and Rollinson will move into 6th position and clear. He won't catch up to Pop by the end of the race, but it is 1 extra point at least for the Shazoo driver.
Wow, Sam. I was expecting from the B final. I wasn't expecting what we've had here, and Palaku Grant, I doff my cap, I raise my glass to you because you're going to come out with a victory here in the B final. What a drive from the American, up 10 places. Presley joins Grant, Reeve through, and Griffin the well, he has got himself through into the final. Ams are plenty in the final here, Sam. I tell you what, some brilliant drives from some of our drivers out there. But two people I've got to feel sorry for right now. Hey, I'd say Edward Pop started really well and then just couldn't quite keep it together. Got mobbed a few times and unfortunately just didn't make it through.
Yeah, did not happen for him there. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Pop just didn't have the pace, and we've seen it a few times, I think, this season where Edward has been able to sort of scrap together a result. I think he's a very consistent driver. I think he manages to get the best results available. But that time, yeah, he just needed an extra quarter of a second a lap, and I think he would have been right in play, but didn't have it right there. And yeah, instead will not progress over there. The Heat 1 results with Arvidsson at the top and Martinsson 3 seconds behind. Smith, how strong he was to beat Swemstra, albeit was struggling a little bit near the end of the race. And yeah, Caden Presley that time didn't qualify, but later on did. And then the Heat 2 results, it was Olsen at the top, continuing his winning form. Of course, we'll be starting in second position though for the A final. Spencer qualifying, one of the two amateurs who managed to get in. Kalacia with that strong drive as well to get through. And then in the B final that we just watched, Grant, Presley, Reeve and Griffin all making their way through. They will be the last 4 drivers on the grid for this A final.
Indeed, warm-up just happening between the two sessions before we're going to take to the grid. In the final, Sam, like a qualifying, the grid for the final. It's been locked up by Simrace Sweden. I just don't see anyone taking it to them. They were so dominant in qualifying. They've been dominant in their respective heats as well. Schnabel maybe, but
yeah,
has he got the? I mean, he was a couple of attempts off them in qualifying. Can he keep up with them during a race? I don't know if he can sustain that level of well, speed for across a lap and across all the laps we're going to have in the final.
I think the good news for us is that Schnabel was super duper aggressive in his heats. I mean, he was so just going for it against Olsen because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to keep up. Because in qualifying, I mean, 0.2 of a second, I think is generous. I think it was more like half a second, and in that heat as well, it was about half a second slower than he was then Olsen. And so he'll be going for it. But I think the good news is that we've got Arvidsson seemingly is in good form. He beat Olsen fair and square in qualifying. Olsen looked really strong in his heat. I do not know who's going to come out on top between those two. Overtaking is going to be impossible. It's not a case where whoever gets pole position is going to win, like I think we saw at Zandvoort, where sure, there was overtaking in the midfield, but there wasn't too many overtakes at the front. If Olsen is faster and he's not in the lead after lap 1, he can still make that move work. He can still get his way up there. And so I think it's going to be that battle between the teammates who are going for that title, obviously. It is so important that Arvidsson beats Olsen tonight, closes the championship lead. And we wait to see if he can deliver. I think this is a proper good test for him tonight.
Well, let's find out. Here's your grid for the final race of the evening. Arvidsson starting from pole with Olsen, starting alongside him. Martinson, he starts on the second row with Lennart Schnabel for company. Smith and Grassetto both looked incredibly quick in their heats. The AMs line up on row 3. Zwemstra has Glamset to company with Sandstrom. If it hadn't been for that pit start, he would have been running strongly there at the front. He starts on the 5th row with Sebastian Gravland, round out your top 10. But he's got Garrett Spence for company on the 6th row of the grid, with the 7th row being Russell and Palacio. Grant and Presley, they are all American 7th row, with the 8th row, so 9th row even, be Jack Reeve and Michael Griffin to round out the field. The As here come the lights. And let's get ready to go racing from COTA for the final time this evening. As we are green, we are go, we are away in the F3 VRS Super Series here on Apex Racing TV. As the race up the hill, and it is a lockout across the track for Simrace Sweden. They blocked that off. It was a massive roadblock, not allowing anyone through, nobody to attack. And everyone behind left floundering, trying to find out and work together, looking at each other as to how they were going to try and break it, and it was an impenetrable barrier, Sam.
Oh, but there was contact though. Arvidsson and Olsen.
Oh, Grappling.
Grappling dropping a position to Boberg right there, but not too many changes. Swemster with the worst start of anyone, down 2 places. But Arvidsson and Olsen colliding, it seemed, on the run to the line, as there goes Smith round. Smith, the Pro-Am Championship leader, is off.
Sandstrom too.
And Sandstrom. So Smith was behind Sandstrom. I wonder if Sandstrom's lost it and maybe hit Smith. I don't think Smith would have gone for a move around that part of the circuit. That would be a fairly crazy thing to do unless Sandstrom made a mistake ahead of him, as we get this classic midfield fight. Grant going to the outside again. I feel like there was a lot of space on the inside as Martinson having to go defensive against Schnabel. Super duper aggressive. He's all by himself. He hasn't got any of his teammates to help him out, and so he's just going to absolutely go for it here. Is the German whenever he gets the opportunity. There he goes up the inside. Will he be able to keep control of his car? His teammate is also up the inside of another driver. Boberg is very slow right there. I think that was the two Crips racing drivers tripping over one another and taking advantage of all that was Kevin Swemstra. Gravlin trying to also take advantage of it, and he is in the middle of those two drivers. Still, Schnabel trying to get it done on Martinson. This battle has been going on for this entire sector of the lap, and still they're not giving in one another. Needs to make sure he doesn't pick up a slowdown. Brilliant driving there for Schnabel. Good respect for Martinson, and Schnabel does get up into P3.
What a move from Schnabel to keep his foot in there, to keep the pressure up. He got it done. His battles up and down plenty. Glamsetter just getting back past Grant, or does he for now? Because I tell you what, that is incredibly close. As Calico Grant is through, up 6 places now. There's a big crash, and there's 2 involved. Spence and Glamsetter caught up in the carnage and the action, Sam.
Yeah.
They're out.
So we got the Smith incident. Now we think this was involved with Jesper Sandstrom, but we're not entirely sure.
Let's take a look, Sam.
Oh no, it was all by Smith's fault. Where did Sandstrom start? Sandstrom started in 9th place.
So Smith.
No, I think Sandstrom started behind him. I think he started in 9th, whereas I think Smith made that mistake when he was up in P6. So yeah, not sure what happened there. We might get another couple of replays. Still the top 2 close to one another. Uh-oh. Presley's off. And Russell, and that was good evasive action there from Smith.
Yeah,
to be able to deal with that. And Smith back to 14th place. And now we've got the Spence replay from just a moment ago, how he lost those positions as well.
Wow.
Not much chance, was there?
No. Nowhere to go. Straight into the side of him, of Glamsetter. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You were only saying, Sam, in the build-up, it's the widest track we're going to this season. And there'll be plenty of room for some make-around incidents that wouldn't be too bad.
I've also got the Presley-Russell incident from turn 10, I think, on this lap, but we'll get that to you in a moment. But yeah, half second then between Arvidsson and Olsen, so Olsen staying in the draft at the moment. Pretty much matched each other on that last lap, as Grissetto's connection slightly drops out and makes me concerned for a second. Man, Grissetto was so far behind in the championship, wasn't he? And he is going to be with Smith right now. And remember, Tim, same thing happened last time to Smith as well. I mean, he's always really good in the heats. And then last time out at Zandvoort, he had issues at the start of the A final, and it's the exact same thing this time as well.
Let's take a look at what happened to Presley and Russell, Sam. So there's Russell ahead of Presley. Presley has a look at the inside. Okay, and just loses the rear. Round they go, and then Wow, and into the back of Russell, who... Wow, that could have been a disaster there for... I think it was Smith, wasn't it? Yeah, Smith, wasn't it? It was coming through. So we head back to live pictures, and Schnabel right now is having to defend from Martinson, but can't get it done. He's going to be on the inside, but Martinson knows he can hold right around the outside and give him the inside to the next corner. And I think he might just do this, but look who's behind him. It's Grassetto, the Italian from Pro-Am. He shouldn't be here. He should be messing with the pros, but I'll tell you what, he's having the whale of his time, and he's taking it to the pair of them as Schnabel back up the inside of Martinson right now as we ride on board with the Scania Motorsport driver favoring the throttle for the never-ending turns here. And then locking up, I tell you what, he is looking the most confident of these three, as having a look at the inside is Martinson trying to apply the pressure, but that's going to compromise his exit into a part of the track where you want the best possible exit going. And Schnabel just had a bit of a wiggle on the corner exit. What could Grassetto do? I tell you what, he's coming to a place where he can strike, and Schnabel knows that he's gone defensive against Martinson. But these two, as much as they're all over one another, they need to be conscious of Grassetto behind them, because I think they haven't actually realised he's there. They're so engrossed in this fight between the pair of them that I think he could catch them unawares. And very quickly, Sam, he's getting closer and closer and closer. It's 3/10 of a second now Grassetto has over the back of Martinson, and Zwemstra isn't far off as well, and I think Zwemstra is actually catching these guys.
Yeah, he is. Yep, he's how far behind was Zwemstra at one point? I swear he was 2.5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds behind at one point, where he's now down to 1.1 seconds now. This is such a long race right now for Schnabel. He's done a brilliant job at holding on for as long as he has done, but I feel like it's only a matter of time as he goes all the way across the circuit. Martinson really being squeezed. Schnabel then opens up the line right at the last moment, forces Martinson to still take a very tight line himself. And every time Martinson seems to get ahead, he just has a slide, and it really kills one of his exits. He had a big slide at this corner on the last lap, but this time he's a lot more controlled. He has a much better line through the double left. And Schnabel won't make his way around there. You can only go for a cutback really round that corner. And so now Martinson has his car fully ahead for the first time since about turn 2 on the opening lap, and he should have the opportunity now to pull away. But Schnabel, I think, with this driving style that we've seen from him so far tonight, he will jump back straight away, because he knows that if he doesn't get this one back past soon, then it might be game over.
It might be, but Arvidsson and Olsen are clear at the front, and they have got a healthy margin, to say the least. Looking out for around about 4.9 seconds over their fellow countryman and fellow teammate Martinson. You can barely see. I mean, as these guys exit the S's, he's only just entering them. Schnabel and Grassetto hot on his heels. Just having a bit of a look up and down the field. I mean, this is realistically the closest battle. I'll tell you what, Zemstra's taken another 3 or 4 attempts out of the pair of, well, say the pair, the 3 of these guys. And I'll tell you what, Zemstra is bringing along for the fight Boberg and Grant as well.
Just a reminder once again that Michael Griffin leading the amateur category by a comfortable margin. Only other amateur who made it into this race was Garrett Spence, who got straight through from the heat. Meanwhile, Griffin had to advance from the B final and only just managed to squeeze his way through. Actually, he kind of needed a mistake from Alistair Hay in order to get through himself. As again, these guys are alongside. Martinson still with his nose clear. Oh, that's another big slide. Oh, he needs to reduce them if he possibly can. And we've seen drivers simply struggle as the race goes on so far tonight. That's contact as well. That is not going to harm Martinson whatsoever. That may harm Schnabel, however, because as the front wings are by far the most fragile parts of pretty much any car on iRacing. Martinson once again clear. But if it ends like this, Griffin was going to have a huge lead in the amateur championship. Charney was the runner-up in the Amateur Championship. I believe Charney will still be the runner-up in the Amateur Championship, but by a much larger margin as it stands. Schnabel this time. Oh, Olsen going for the lead. Oh, it's a mistake from Arvidsson. Oh, dearie me. Oh, we wanted that proper battle. These two have been the dominant forces so far this season. We want to see a titanic battle between the two of them if possible. It's not going to happen, however, tonight, because that is a crucial mistake, and it's another turn one spin, which is where most of the spins have come.
Let's say, when you talk about titanic battles, Sam, it's all going on still between these three behind. Let's take a look at exactly how it all unfolded at the front. I get the feeling, let's see what we've seen numerous times already. A bit too much speed on. Wow, that was so close. Olsen nearly collecting his teammate Arvidsson. They avoided one another. They've kept going. And I tell you what, Arvidsson, despite that spin, is still nearly 3.4 seconds clear of these guys, because that is how much Martinson and Schnabel are scrapping right now as defensive to the inside line. As Sam said earlier, that's MotoGP style line where they hug the inside and Martinson wise. So what Schnabel was going to do, well, he tried to hang around the outside and he shuts the door right in his face and says, no, you're not having any of that. Schnabel looking for the cutback once again. He made it where previously couldn't get it done this time. Grosseto still sits behind, waiting for these two to come together. You can feel it brewing some way, somewhere. Deeper into the race, well into the second part, as Schnabel incredibly good through that corner, getting the switchback, trying to find a way right around the outside, can't quite hold on to it, has to dig back in behind Martinson as they exit the final corner. Here we go, the run up the hill, the run to turn one, and Schnabel is within striking distance, so is Grosseto, and Zwemstra has taken another attempt out of these three. You can visually see that gap shrinking, and up the inside goes Schnabel, and what can Martinson do? He gets squeezed right to the outside, can't quite do it, but he keeps his toe right in there. Is he going to hold on to this by some stretch of the imagination? You can't really go side by side through here, but they do it somehow on the entry, and Schnabel slots right back in behind Martinson, who then holds his line and then holds on to third place. What epic racing, Sam.
Well, I honestly thought Martinson would just be gone. I really thought he'd just be gone, but Schnabel has done a mighty effort to stay in play, and it's just incredible how Schnabel just knows where the front of his car is. It's so tricky to judge where your nose is, and to be able to judge that correctly, and of course counteract the net code as well, which is always going to be a risk. And Schnabel's just been able to do like these cutbacks and slot back into position, and constantly he's a matter of centimeters away from the back of Martinson's car, but just brilliant driving so far. Swimster's right with these drivers now, gained by another 0.3 of a second that last lap. So driving this one really smart, honestly. Just being third and ninth. If anything, I think he'd like these guys ahead to be a bit faster so he could keep Swimster behind, but he's sort of dealing with what's coming at him very maturely right now. Boberg being caught by Palakui Grant. Remember, Grant started down in 15th position for this race, was top of the drivers in the B final, and so not much of a surprise that Grant is catching Boberg. That would be for P2 in the rounds. What a comeback that would be for Palakui Grant, considering that he finished last in his heat.
As we're approaching 4 minutes remaining here in the Apex Racing League F3 Super Series. Wow, who is going to pick up the last place on the podium? We ride on board with Kevin Zwemstra, the Dutchman of Alcantech. Has a little look at the inside there with Grosseto ahead of him. This is going to be the time to play with. Boberg is about 2.5 seconds behind him. He is under attack from Grant, so he's locked in his own battle. Zwemstra can just pick his line and Lecter just place the car where he wants, like Grosseto head is doing, trying to stay out of, wow, the battle of all ages between Martinson and Schnabel, who just will not leave each other alone. They fought so hard, but I'm starting to wonder, Sam, with the amount we've seen of people taking out of their tyres today, this fight between Martinson and Schnabel, Surely they can't have anything left in those tyres, can they?
Well, Martin has drifted the majority of the corners so far. So look at that. That's, I mean, you got weaving and you got that all legal, as long as, well, the rule is that if the driver behind's within half a car length behind, they're not allowed to weave. I feel like that's pushing it there for Martin. But the way that he was like swinging from left to right, that's going to really increase the friction and slow yourself down. As Boberg is. Oh, he's just covered off Grant. For a moment, Grant, I think, got up into 7th place, but Boberg has covered it off. Sandstorm's internet died, apparently, so that's a massive shame, and I think he would be right there with the likes of Schnabel, Martinsson, Grissetto, Zwemstra, if it weren't for that.
In some ways, I'm glad he isn't, Sam, because I'm not sure. Definitely against Jessup Zwemstra, but I don't think I could physically take it. I mean, it's got me on the edge of the seat here. Anyway, I'll keep standing up, sitting down, because it's so close, so much anticipation. He said earlier, you know, Lennart Schnabel, the way he's able to place that car and know where the front of his car is, it's, well...
Oh, he's going to do him again here.
I was going to say, it's ding-ding round 965, I think, between these two, and Schnabel up the inside. Is he going to take third, back away from Martinsson? Yes, he does, for now, but for how long? As in the background there, that is Boberg just about fending off Grant, and Smith, that is, I believe is that for a move? Yes, over Griffin. Well, what corner, so much action. It's all happening in one big cluster as the clock ticks down. 1.5 minutes fast approaching left in this race. When they come across the line, the white flag is going to be in the air. They're going to have 1 lap left remaining here at the Circuit of the Americas. And, hold on a minute, Sam. We've been so engrossed in the battle behind that is Arvidsson within 7/10 of Tobias Olsen. What is going on here in Austin? As we see behind them, Schnabel, I think, is he going to defend this one? Oh, he jinks to the inside there. Martinsson trying the wide. Oh, Fox, he's running deep. This could be over for Schnabel as he comes back onto the track. Martinsson holds on, and he is back ahead as Schnabel slots in between himself and Grissetto. That could have been, well, Grissetto, I'm sure, won't be too happy with that one as we see Boberg and Grant. Now, where have Gravlin and Palacio come from? Because they're now right behind him. How are we going to try and cover this last lap, Sam? Because this battle's up and down the field as the white flag is in the air. 1 lap left remaining for our leaders as they come across the line. Here we go.
Still 0.6 of a second. Gap came down by ½ a second on that last lap. So if he can ace the first sector once again here, Arvidsson, then he might have a chance. And with the way that those two were driving on the run down to turn 1 on the 8th lap, I think if there's half an opportunity for Arvidsson, he will take it. There goes Schnabel. Again, well, had to take evasive action there, did Martinsson, in order to avoid contact. Grant, is he ahead of Boberg? He is. Look at the tight line he had to take. Boberg must have squeezed him all the way to the line. But Boberg gets back ahead. Grant is a little bit cautious, or we saw him cautious in the B final at least. I wonder if he's doing that again here, albeit I'm sure as this race progresses, he's becoming more and more aggressive as Arvidsson is right on the race lead right now, ½ a tenth faster to that sector 1 through sector 2. That's where he gains all the time. The second half of the S's, he's absolutely mighty, and after ruling a comeback completely out of the question there for Arvidsson, he has brought himself back in play in what could be a crucial race victory here at Circuit of the Americas. These two are teammates, but going to race right to the line here. Again, they come almost as close to contact as they did on lap 1. They're super close, barely a paper width between the pair of them. Olsen covers off the inside line though. The car number 1, the 2-time defending champion, the championship leader as well, is doing everything he can to hold on to this A final victory. They're painfully slow, but also knows he just needs to stop it on the apex at every single corner from here to the checker flag, which is preparing to be waved right now. Olsen still with the inside line as they go through the long right hand of the triple apex, the quadruple apex. Olsen letting his car run out slightly, coming in line. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. They somehow keep it in line, in tandem, but there goes Arvidsson up the inside on the penultimate corner of the race. Olsen's going to try to send it back. Is there going to be contact between the two of them?
Arvidsson makes it done though, and he's going to take a superb victory at Circuits of the Americas. A mighty finish from the Sim Race Sweden drivers, a mighty finish between the top two in the championship, and it brings Arvidsson right back into the fray for the title this season.
Grant's in the pit, Sam.
Must have got a drive through. It's not going to serve it though.
Wow. That shaped things up a little bit behind them with Palacio. Julio Palacio finishing 8th overall in the end. I'm genuinely amazed. Borderline speechless on two fronts. Arvidsson spinning, losing all that time to Tobias Olsen, and then claiming it back and then retaking him in that lead in the penultimate corner. And second of all, how did Martinson, Schnabel, Crusader and Zemstra finish where they were? How did that
What's
not...
the point in all of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, after all that we saw between those guys.
And so, yeah, so Grant, so we'll see what happens to Grant after the race. But I think he's going to drop much further down than that. You can't serve a drive-through penalty on the last lap. So, how Boberg kept him behind, though, for all those laps. I mean, credit to Boberg. That's a well-earned 7th place. And yeah, that will bring. I think Boberg might be championship leader now in the Prams. He might have taken it back after a fairly miserable Zandvoort round, if I recall correctly. He might be back top.
He did have a shocking Zandvoort, didn't he? But I'll tell you what. Let's head back to the studio. We'll see you on the other side of this break, where we'll take you through the results and have a chat to some of our drivers. Well, welcome back. A good job these sofas are so comfy. The grin on your face, I think that pretty much just sums everything up, really, of what we've just experienced.
You were standing up for all of that, Tim. You didn't need a sofa, to be honest. I mean, like...
Well, I was beyond being on the edge of my seat, Sam, honestly, and, you know, I think literally from doing this so much, that's why I'm so bold. It's just worn away the hair over all these years of commentary.
You had dreadlocks at the start of this, didn't you? And
just
far cry from that. Now, no, incredible racing. And it was for the leads this time, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't just for the midfield, as we've seen a few times this season. It was for those top positions. It was fantastic to see.
I'm still speechless after that one. I mean, Arvidsson spins, makes up about, what was a 2-3 second loss of time that he had, and then ends up winning, overtaking Olsen in the penultimate corner and wins. Yeah,
and the fact that the two of them made contact as well. I mean, the run to the turn one as well. They made contact, I think, wheel to wheel. Then they made contact through the reverse turkey turn 8, and both slid in exactly the same way. And then, of course, that slight mistake from Olsen. That's at the end on that penultimate corner where I think the slide prior maybe upset his tyres a little bit, maybe overheated his tyres a little bit. That forced him to run wide. Managed to get back underneath, did Arvidsson, and took it at the final corner. We love a final corner move, but I think what that demonstrates is I don't think there's any hard feelings between them. So they're perfectly, I think if they hit each other and they crash, I think they would have gone, okay, that's fine. They're fighting for the championship. And so it's fantastic to see them battling as championship rivals. They realise that they've got the gap now over the rest of the drivers now, over the likes of Schnabel. They know that they've got the pace and they are free to race as though they weren't teammates to the end of the race. And I just hope that they're, having a laugh right now and they had fun, with that duel.
Oh, I mean, it looked like they had great fun out there. And talking of great fun, that battle for third, I mean, Grosseto and Sremstra, they sat behind the pair of them, Martinson and Schnabel. Watched them, left, right, side by side, weave all over the track, down the straight, trying to break the slipstream aggressively. And you get the feeling that Grosseto and Sremstra were just sat there waiting for it all to end in tears, which it was sort of almost the writing was on the cards for it, but it never did. And is that actually, I do wonder if it's a missed opportunity for the pair of them.
Yeah, perhaps so. I think Grosseto, though, I think he'll be delighted. I think we've got the results now available to go through. And you can see that Arvidsson and Olsen at the top half second between the two of them. Maybe our closest finish of the season, not quite sure, in the NA final. Martinson making it a sim race Sweden 1-2-3, which I believe is the first time that's happened this season.
Yes, it is the first time,
which is frankly a surprise because they have been so good at that team, being able to beat Schnabel. But yeah, I think Grosseto will be delighted with that. Grosseto drove it really smart, so too did Sremstra, once again scoring good points there, the Dutch driver. Boberg, though, I mean, I think he's going to be championship leader now in the Pro-Ams, up there in 7th place. Then it was Palacier. Seb Gravland, who I think delivered on some of the promise that he's shown so far this season. We're talking about him being shockingly low down the order before the meeting started, but he had a great time. Smith with a great comeback considering that he spun at the start to get up nearly half the field. Then Griffin top of the AMs, he's going to be a long way clear in the championship now. Philip Russell, Jack Reeve with a strong return to the championship. Palakui Grant felt like it could have been a bit more for Grant, couldn't it, if it weren't for that incident that he had earlier on in the race. He had a top 10 potential there. Spence a bit quiet in 15th place, and Presley, Glamsetter and Sancho, unfortunately with that connection issue. I think you were right though, Tim. I wanted him to be up in that top 5. If there was another one in that top 5 though, they were not going to get to the end of the race. That was a miracle that they did, as they did. I think another driver involved in that and wouldn't have happened.
No, I absolutely spot on there, Sam. I don't think my heart could have coped with it. It's already clogged up with too much cholesterol and such like anyway, without having that extra stress and excitement put onto it. But I think always a good chance. Let's catch up with some of our drivers. First up, we have got Isaac Arvidsson, your race winner here today from the Circuit of the Americas. Isaac, first off, congratulations, but after you spun, I mean, we were saying in the commentary box, it looked like it was done and dusted for you.
First off, thank you. It was a really intense race. The nerves were on top.
Can't quite hear Isaac at the moment. A few technical difficulties. We'll see if we can pick him up very shortly. I mean, just to lead this question. Oh, I believe we might have it sorted out. Isaac, can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
No. Okay, we've got a couple of technical gremlins in the system. Beautiful live TV as always. But I mean, it looked like it was done and dusted for him, didn't it? I mean, what a drive. I mean, if it was me, Sam, you just write it off, don't you, to one of those things.
Yeah, it was pretty exceptional from those drivers, and I wonder if it's again sort of Arvidsson, I think, is a little bit more susceptible to those types of mistakes perhaps than Olsen. I don't know, maybe again, like Olsen did make a mistake at Monza, but apart from that he's been faultless. Arvidsson with a few more mistakes, but he was so quick tonight that he got away with it.
Ridiculous.
So I think that's the first time that we've seen him have a genuine speed advantage over Olsen. I don't think we've seen that in any other round so far, even in the rounds that he's outscored Olsen. I don't think that's been the case, so that's got to be promising for him. And I mean, you don't fluke that at COTA. I mean, COTA is a tricky circuit. If you are fast at COTA, that shows a lot of talent for yourself. So I think not only the result, but the performance from Isaac tonight is going to give him a lot of confidence for the rest of the season.
Well, I believe you might have sorted things in the background. Isaac, can you hear us at all now?
I can hear you.
Ah, there we go, Isaac. Oh, thank goodness we got to chat to you now. We were saying just before, obviously, it was all going so well. You had that spin. What a recovery drive. Did you feel like you were just down and out, or did you know you had the pace maybe to come back at Tobias?
If I can say it myself, it was quite incredible, actually. I didn't think I would be this fast to close a gap with like 2.5 seconds, I believe it was.
Yes, it was,
And,
yeah, after you'd spun, I think, possibly even 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, myself and Sam in commentary, just, no disrespect to yourself, we'd written you off. We thought that was done and dusted. I then saw you dropped it to about 1.5 seconds, and then coming into that final lap, do you think it was one of those, yeah, do you know what, I've caught him, but I could probably do with another lap to make the overtake? Or did you have a little bit of a feeling, do you know what, I think I can get Tobias here?
I was just telling myself that I'm gonna win this race. From the 3 last laps, I just told myself I'm gonna win this. So I committed to it. I did everything I could to win it, and in the end, it worked out.
Oh, it most certainly did, Isaac. It most certainly did. And looking ahead to next week, you know, obviously not going to be as wide as, you know, Series of Americas. How are you feeling about your chances next time out?
I don't know. I hope that I will be having this pace on the next track too. So, but
yeah.
we'll see.
I mean, of course, we've got the lottery that is Long Beach coming up as well. I mean, I think that's just mostly about staying alive rather than pace, but that is definitely going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to see how you get on for the rest of the season. Congratulations. That's your winner here today, Isaac Arvidsson. Sam, I'll let you have the honours of chatting to our next driver.
Yes, we have Garrett Spence, who now joins us in the commentary box. Garrett, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Congratulations tonight. Well, it seemed like it was an energetic one for pretty much everyone out there. How was it for yourself? I mean, particularly your heat was quite frantic to be able to qualify for the A final.
I mean, I was really glad coming through the heat to be sitting where I was and having a little bit of wiggle room to be able to just make sure that I finished to end up in the final. But no, I really like that track a lot, and finally figuring out this the F3 versus the F4. I think this track really suits it and allows different driving lines and really close battles. But you know, some people being a little bit too greedy or what have you, you can easily pick up a place or two, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I can't say the same about the final, though.
Yeah, you seemed a bit lonely in the final. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I had my sad pity drive back to the pits to get a new front wing, and then...
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then from there, it was just, okay, how much time can I cut out of, you know, the person that's sitting in the back of the pack? But, you know, I can't really complain too much finishing where I did for my division and having, you know, a decent drive for myself and trying to have fun and get some points.
Definitely, yeah, that's absolutely all you can do. So congratulations on qualifying for that A final. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I mean, honestly, to you guys for putting this on. I think it's really, really awesome to do this every week, and including watching the races tomorrow and the rest of the week. So shout out to you guys and the admins and everybody. making this happen.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the kind words, Garrett, and best of luck next week.
Thank you. See you.
Garrett Spence there. Strong finish. I mean, no ARMS got into the A final last time out, Tim, so whilst he was a fair bit short of our amateur winner, Michael Griffin, I think he should still be very pleased with that result.
Oh, definitely. It was a great result for him, and yet again, the ARMS taking the fight and getting themselves into the final. What's not left to that? Next up, we were joined by third place finisher Matthias Martinsen. How did you pull that one off? Because that was a true race-long battle for the ages between yourself and Lennart Schnabel. It was absolutely captivating, fascinating, and at times I don't know how you two did not come together.
Yeah, I agree with your last point there. I at least know he now knows how to send it into corners. I don't think there was a single lap on that race where I didn't get a send on either turn 1 or the corner after the long straight. But I was also into the last lap. I had 11 out of 12 incident points. So if I got one off track on the last lap, I would have had a drive-through. So I knew if he was gonna send it on me, I was gonna have to take an off track, or we hit each other. So it was a black flag or a black flag for me there.
Well, I mean, even so, I mean, that is absolutely astounding. But I suppose in equal measures, I suppose how you mentioned it, it makes complete sense because, I mean, you two were, I mean, you were pushing the limits and going above and beyond them at times. I mean, it was absolutely fascinating. I mean, did you have the feeling that you would get third, or, I mean, equally, I suppose, were you surprised that you didn't come under attack from Grassetto behind, and then when Kevin Swemstra caught it to the back of you, they seemed to almost just sit back, and I think they were, myself and Sam was saying in the studio, it almost felt like they were expecting you two to come together, both fall off the track, and they would continue on. So were you a little bit surprised that you didn't come under attack from, you know, Grassetto and Swemstra, or was it more what, you know, what we were thinking, that they were just waiting for you two to come together, yourself and Lennart?
Well, I think I was half the time, or like 60% of the time, I was looking in my rear view mirror, and 40% forward. I was so busy I didn't even realize I had my relative up, or that Isaac spun or anything. But I was actually quite surprised that the guys behind didn't try to make a move. But I think it really helped me in some ways.
Oh, definitely, I think so.
Because I wanted to take the wide line into turn 1 every time when Schnabel decided to send it, or when I was attacking I always took the wide line. But if they would have done the same as him, send it there, Lennart would have been able to gap me on the exit, and probably I wouldn't have been able to pass him as easy on the long straight after.
And, sorry, Tim, I'm going
No,
to
jump in, Sam.
But I'm curious, Mattis, were you and your SimRace Sweden teammates all in the same Discord? Because, of course, your teammates, Tobias and Isaac, were having an absolutely furious battle. Was there any kind of chatter between them whilst they were dueling for the race win?
I mean, to be honest, I don't remember if I was deafened or muted during the race. But I know I didn't hear anything. And to be honest, I barely even knew that they fought each other. So you were the first one to tell me.
I mean, watch it back afterwards. It's very entertaining. I'm sure it'll be a fun one to watch back.
Yep, I will do, for sure.
Definitely, it was an absolute battle for the ages between all of you. I mean, first off, thank you for providing us with absolutely great entertainment, and second of all, congratulations on securing the third, and well, a Sim Race Sweden 1-2-3.
Thank you.
That's no problem. Wow, Sam. Wow. I mean, I think the driver's summing it up there nicely. It was grueling, mentally, a physical, you know, a massive challenge for our drivers out there, and so close to drive-throughs for, well, so many of them.
Yeah, it's something that you've got to think about, like, from lap 1 in these races, isn't it? You can't just think, oh, I got a 1x, it's all right. It's alright, yeah, I can deal with it. Like, once you get a 1x, and if it's a 1x where you gain time, then that's sort of alright, but if it's a 1x where it's just a cheap one and you gain no time through it, then, I mean, that's just criminal. You cannot be affording that in those races. So it was a really interesting element, of course, something that we're not aware of live, but interesting to get that feedback afterwards. I don't think there's going to be such an issue in the future rounds. I believe it's Nürburgring.
It is Nürburgring.
Of the championship. Shouldn't be so much of a problem, depending on what chicane we're using. I believe we're using the tight chicane rather than the more flowing chicane, so it should be a bit easier with those 1x's. But I think that's going to be a fantastic round of the championship. Overtaking possible, particularly through that first sector, but not as easy as we saw here at Circuit of the Americas. I don't think there's many circuits in the world which are as easy to overtake as the track that we visited today.
You say that, Sam. Remember last time out at Zandvoort? Can't overtake around there.
Yeah.
It's boring, just processional. Didn't happen, did it? The drivers didn't get the memo, and it just overtakes. Amazing driving. But as we've seen once again here in the Apex Racing League, F3 Super Series with VRS, it's not failed to deliver. What an amazing round. Congratulations to Sim Race Sweden Esports, picking up the 1, 2, 3. The history books will say it was dominant from them, but my golly, it really, really wasn't. And they had to work hard for it. But if you're not done with your action, coming up on the channel a little bit later on, we have got Formula Renault a 3.5, and then round things off with the ARA GT Americas. Well, I'll be not done just for the evening, back in the commentary booth for that one later on into the small hours UK time. Obviously at 9 PM Eastern in the Americas. Then tomorrow evening we have got SRF Weekend Warriors. We have got IGP Fun F3. Big grids, big action. Don't miss out on those ones. Absolutely amazing racing and entertainment. But wow, what a cracker it's been yet again. Can we have more of the same next time out in Nürburgring? Make sure you tune in. I've been Tim Cox with Sam Fitzpatrick, or that guy on the left, the skinny guy on the left, as Reddit called him. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Good night.